primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And today is episode 225 of Podcast 2 for 1. YouTube.com/at 2 for 1 Studios. It's the best place to consume all the content. If you didn't know, listeners, and let's be honest, you probably did not, we are sponsored by Krypto Comics, located at 4047 East Cole Avenue in Sherwood, Arkansas. That they have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, and of course, special guest appearances throughout the year.
Kapow.
Daniel was 225. That's a good sounding number. We've been doing this for a while now, for 5 years.
You might call us professionals. Some might.
Maybe. We're not to the coveted, to the prophesized 241 yet, but we are getting
That's true.
there.
That's true, but we've produced a podcast for 6 years. That's not nothing. Yeah.
5 years, yeah, but
5 years, sorry.
it feels like 6 years, don't it?
Okay, yeah. We started in 2018. It's 2024.
We started in No, there's no
19. Way. It was 2019. You're right.
Okay, I mean, there's no way we started doing it. Okay,
right. Sorry.
So, Podcast 2 for 1, episode 225. It is, if you look at our thumbnail or our title of our podcast, you will know we are talking about the start, the dawn, you might say, of the DCU by James Gunn and Peter Safran. And of course, we are talking Creature Commandos, the first 4 episodes, 3 episodes?
4. Have you
seen
4
episodes?
I've seen all 4.
Yeah, okay, me too. 4 episodes. And it just dropped yesterday. We're going to date this podcast. The release of the Superman teaser trailer. It might as well have just been a trailer because I don't know anything about tease about it. But that we're going to have our first reaction to that too. And at least you will. I watched it probably an unhealthy amount yesterday. I've watched the trailer. This happens with every superhero movie, most part.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer easily the first week it comes out, as long as the actual movie is. That's easy. I've seen the again. I'm going to say it again. 150 million views for the Batman trailer. I am 75 million of those views. So
yeah. Well, and this broke the record for the 24-hour mark trailer views, right? Broke the Batman's record.
Well, here's what it said. The headline said, most viewed DC property trailer in 24 hours since the pandemic. That's what it said. And I was kind of like, wow, way to make that headline.
Qualification. Yeah.
Make that sound good. But it could be, I still think they're calculating numbers. I mean, here's also where it kind of gets crazy.
It got like 22 million in 24 hours. That's pretty good, right?
That's good, but I mean, look at other things where they made literally 100 million views in 24 hours, like some Marvel properties. But I think it's way more than 22. I mean, I think we're probably upwards 40 or so, 50 across all social media platforms.
Yeah.
But I want to wait for a second before we get into Superman. It's about Creature Commandos, which is the true start of the DCU. And honestly, it's really not. Like after this week, with this latest episode, I was really like, well, the DCU really starts now with the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Like it really is like, that's canon.
Yeah.
There's this weird thing where he's like, if we mention it in the properties that's come out, then that means it's canon.
I mean, that's like the whole New 52. That's what the New 52 is though, too, right? That's exactly what they did almost.
Yeah, that is kind of what they did. Yeah. They kind of, if we mentioned it, then that was canon. What a weird, again, I said this from the beginning, Daniel, a year ago now, a year and a half ago. Really, I think probably 2 years when they first announced like the slate, the Gods and Monsters slate. It was kind of like, I wish we just get a straight up just reboot, right? I don't want to carry things over. Like, of course, people like me, I'll know what's going on, but I just don't want the confusion for the average moviegoer, and I'd rather just like a clean slate. But here we are. It looks like to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the Suicide Squad by James Gunn is canon. Peacemaker Season 1 by James Gunn is canon.
Yeah.
Except for the Justice League scene in the last episode.
Right.
And of course, now Creature Commandos is the true start of this enterprise.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we learn that they fold in Shazam 1 and 2 at some point as also canon, because those are Peter Safran's babies as well.
And I will say all of those, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, the Shazam movies all felt already markedly different than the Snyderverse, the DC up to that point. right? And so I do
for
think
sure.
there is an argument for why they feel like they could belong in his universe better.
And
they
Blue Beetle. I mean, they're
Yeah.
we do know they're making an animated TV show that has the same actor. I can't think his name, Yolo
For
or
Blue
something,
Beetle.
from Blue Beetle, and so he's going to be voicing the Blue Beetle in the animated series. And there's still speculation: is it DCU or not? That's also a Peter Safran baby, and I like Blue Beetle. It's got its issues, but I like Blue Beetle a lot actually. And then for some reason, I must be crazy, Daniel. I'm one of the only people on the planet who like Shazam 2, Fear of the Gods. People just trash that movie, and I'm like, it really blows my mind because I don't understand. I want to watch it right now, actually, talking about it. Better than the first, probably not, but I would love for you to watch it so we can talk about it sometime.
Yeah.
And maybe we will when we get closer to Superman. So anyway, Creature Commandos. And so this is straight up just a sequel. This feels like, again, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker. This is James Gunn humor, right? It's the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's like meets his trauma background where we're doing Toxic Avenger and Romeo and Juliet, and we're just doing blood and guts and sex and gore and cursing and just, kind of the real. I think at this point, I could probably write James Gunn material. I think I got his cadence down of like how he has characters talk and how they say, like, I got it. I think I was telling this today. I was like, I think I could write at least a scene or two of James Gunn, and you'd probably be like, oh, it sounds like James Gunn. So anyway, overall the series, I'm enjoying it. I like the voice actors. We know that the voice actors are going to carry over to the DCU in live action if they're supposed to. Or if they do appear in live action, the same voice actor will be playing the live action role, and I'm liking it. I love Frank Grillo. Of course, he was Crossbones in the MCU. I love him as Rick Flag Sr. We know he's going to come back in Peacemaker Season 2 as like going to avenge his son. We know that he's going to be a Superman.
How are they going to explain the lack of the age?
Well, they said it in the first episode. He was like 18 or 16 or 17 when he had his son.
Oh, okay.
So by the time Rick Flag is like 30, he's like 50.
That's fine. That works.
They said in the first episode, and I was kind of like, oh, well, there you go. Because also, I was like, yes, how are you going to explain this age difference?
Okay, fine. He was a promiscuous young man. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
that works.
But I think this show is pretty. It's kind of like the first 15 minutes of the Suicide Squad, but broken up longer. Like every episode is dead. It's like that flash. I don't love these in movies, but you get that flash card, and it's kind of like, here's their name and their powers and their like little backstory. They did that a lot in the first Suicide Squad movie, which was trash. But anyway, that's a similar thing here, right? Where we're seeing that kind of dossier per episode. Like, here's the character, we're getting their backstory, and then also we're getting this narrative here of Amanda Waller assembling Task Force M, her workaround of not using humans anymore from Suicide Squad, the movie, and essentially just kind of dealing with this princess and also this woman from Themyscira. And so I mean, it's fun. I like the characters. So he does a good job of like making you care about these characters, and they're just so off kilter. Character like Dr. Phosphorus and having like David Harbour's Frankenstein. Especially with this last episode. He
was so
I think
good. He was really fun in the last one. His moments with Rick Flag
were really great. And I love like he was, having the gun in his eye. I mean, it was smart though. It was really good. But even just like, and here's the power that James Gunn is good at, that I think a lot of people, they kind of, we're getting like a kind of a split, or at least 60-40 vitriol with the Superman trailer, or at least maybe 70-30 that I'm seeing.
I've seen some. It's felt smaller the percentage than that to me. I've seen, like, as far as comic book subreddit reactions, it's been like 90% praise, maybe 10% criticism, but
it depends on where you're at. But I think I feel like there's one place particular it feels like the criticism was really hitting.
I wonder where.
It's comicbookmovie.com.
Okay.
And which is my
I thought you were going to assume like the Snyder Bros.
No. It is a large portion of Snyder Bros coming at this movie. It is 100% that. And I share some criticism with some of the stuff, but we'll get to there. So anyway, I think the thing that James Gunn does that people sometimes forget or they kind of shit on him, like, I think this is something that has really made him popular with the Guardians movies, is the ability to make you care about characters that you didn't think you'd care about beforehand.
Absolutely.
And I think a great version of that is Weasel. And
Yes.
he was this really funny, like, I mean, the way he moves and stuff in the live action movie is really comical, and he's only in the first
It's
15 minutes.
just like the cartoon too.
It's just like it.
Well, and I don't know if you remembered, but they reference him eating 23 kids in the movie. In the Suicide Squad movie, that was a line.
That was his whole shtick, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, like it's a sequel. This is, I mean, the Suicide Squad's canon. Well, they won't say it out loud, but just say it. I
It's
don't know
very
why.
clearly canon. Yeah, the characters that carry over. No,
I
yeah,
mean, it's
Weasel's,
Amanda Waller. It's everybody. I mean,
it's the big guy from he was in Suicide Squad, but
Peacemaker.
he was big in Peacemaker. He had a big role.
Yeah,
he's great
I
though
was
too.
there.
I love that guy. Yeah, man, you're right. No, Weasel is this character that like seems kind of gross and ridiculous, and all these things, and like it to a degree you can see it coming. Like to me, when I'm watching the Weasel episode and that first flashback, you just see people seeing him drag a kid. I'm like, oh, he's clearly being a hero.
Well, of course.
It's being misconstrued, but still, I enjoy the journey of figuring, like, seeing all the pieces of that come together and seeing who this creature is. I think he's still funny,
Oh,
he's
he
still like
is.
when he's looking at the child's photo and just eats it. You know what I mean? Like there's these moments where it's like, he's clearly something, and I wonder if they'll ever tell us back. Like I'm very curious, like how did this thing come to be? I wonder if they'll dig into that.
I have no idea.
But it was great. And then, like, I mean, another one, which, R.I.P., but G.I. Robot. Oh,
Dude,
my
he's
God.
coming back. He's got to come
Yeah,
back.
I mean, she got the head, and she kept the head. We know she kept the head. It's going to go on. Yeah. But
his tone and inflection of like, are you a Nazi? Like, it's just like, it's so good. Like,
Sean Gunn. It's James Gunn's brother that did the voice.
That was Sean Gunn also.
Yeah, yeah.
He's also Weasel. He's Weasel.
That makes sense.
And he's also going to be Ted Cord in
Okay.
the live action universe. So I didn't know he was Junkyard, or I didn't know he was G.I. Joe. Yeah, G.I. Robot. Sorry.
Yes, G.I. Robot. Yeah.
G.I.
And
Robot.
what a
Are
great
you
episode, man. And
That
then,
was my
like,
favorite episode, probably.
I
for
think
sure.
so too. Absolutely. I mean, like when he gets taken to the like far right meeting.
Oh yeah,
And he's like,
Oh, yeah.
he's like, oh,
Ooh,
like
yeah.
it's like
his
man,
voice.
It was so, like, he's so endearing because of the voice, partly. You know what I mean?
It's the voice.
Because he talks like a child. He basically talks like a child, like, asking questions about things like a child would. But it's
He
all
does,
in the
but he
context of, like,
has like this 50s, 40s like radio
Yeah.
announcer commercial
Like
inflection.
clean
that,
cut. Yeah.
clean
Absolutely.
cut, and it's kind of got this like whimsical, like, again, like, are you a Nazi? It's like,
well, and I loved the moment, the moment when they have him on the TV show in like the flashback, and he's that thing of like, have you checked all? And they're like, you're like, literally, I'm thinking he's about to murder everyone. That's why he's in
100%.
jail, right? Because he murdered
Yeah.
everyone on this TV show. And then
Yeah.
they go to that conversation with those generals, and one of them's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing right now. Like he has some sort of awareness of how he's like fucking with everyone right now.
Yeah.
And I like
Yeah.
that. Like I like that he's this character that, again, on the outside may seem more simple, but is more complex inside. That's kind of the story of everybody, right? Like even the bride in episode 1, you're taking these characters. Frankenstein is just known as this dumb monster that walks around and says, you know what I mean? Like the Weasel is this weird creature. G.I. Robot's just a robot that kills Nazis. All these things that seem to have very simple, straightforward appearances, and then we dig deeper and find out they're much more complex and interesting. You know what I mean? And I think that's been, you're right. That is like James Gunn's like kind of superpower. It does feel like for a guy that grew up on, cut his teeth on trauma and all that kind of stuff, his ability to insert heart and emotion into things is really consistently good. Like he just like, even like the movies that I have issue with him with, like even I have issues with some of Guardians 2 and 3, but the heart's there. The heart, the emotion that he wanted to go for is there, and it hits. You know what I mean? And so like, he's really good at that. And I think this is another thing where it's like, this is great. I'm like, we caught the latest 2 episodes last night. We watched the first 2 last week, and it's like, all right, cool. I want the rest of them now. Like, I just want to keep watching this, And I'm a sucker for adult animation. When you make things colorful and then you make it about sex and violence, I'm there all day. But it's like, it's right up my vein of like, it's gory, it's fun, it's irreverent, it's surprising, it's got heart. You know what I mean? It's like it's got characters I now care about the creature commandos, and and I haven't really gotten to know Dr. Phosphorus yet and all that stuff. And I will say too, like kind of the overarching plot they introduced in this last episode is really interesting. You know what I mean? Like they just save this princess and then they find out that maybe she's about to become Hitler 2.0. You know what I mean? And I think that's again, it's just like, hey, our first mission is to save this girl, and then we find out we actually need to go kill her. It's like this, even the plot just feels unconventionally interesting. You know what I mean? It's not your typical build-up thing. Like she's not your typical villain. All these kinds of things. I think it's just, I really like kind of everything he's got going on. I want more.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things there. One, I agree with you. The heart's where it's at. We'll talk a little bit in a minute about Superman and more James Gunn and what he does well and what he doesn't do well. I want to say real quick, just interject. I think that you and I would be great to do a live action version of Creature Commandos. I think because he said he was open to the idea of live action of those characters, and I think it'd be great if you and I got to take the reins on that and to write and direct a Creature Commando live action film. I love Frank Grillo. I'm a huge Frank Grillo fan. Yeah. And I think I really want to see G.I. Robot and Dr. Phosphorus in live action. Those two I got to see in live action.
No, they would both translate real, well, especially G.I. Robot, but like I agree.
Dude, Dr. Phosphorus, he's gonna look so cool.
I'm really interested to get his background. He's just seemed like incredibly just, he's like barbecuing people and very sadistic at a time. I wonder if he'll be it always kind of feels like the episode before we kind of get a little more of the character before the next one maybe. And so like we did get more Phosphorus had a more leading role with like burning the lady's face, in the episode before Weasels. That was the episode where, maybe I'm getting things mixed up. Anyway, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I think a live action version of this would all work great. I mean, basically, you're right. It would be the tone of the first 15 minutes of Peacemaker, Suicide Squad. James Gunn Suicide Squad, right?
That's all it is. And now you got some of the legwork out where you can just kind of you would still have to do the Viola Davis.
Of course.
Amanda Waller
introduce the characters.
Just for people who had never watched the show. But other than that, you can just hit the ground running with these characters.
Yes, dude, I would love give me fucking a heist plot with these characters. Like, give me a heist movie with these characters. Like, I would love do Ocean's 11, but with Creature Commandos. What would they be breaking into? Like, that sounds fucking great. Ocean's 11 meets Creature Commandos. Yes, I want that movie.
I love it. Yeah. Sneakers meets Creature Commandos.
And I hope, James Gunn, I think he likes leaning into genres, it seems like, and he likes it when different things have different feels to them. He's talked a lot about that, how he wants each of these movies within his universe to feel markedly different. You know what I mean? Batman should feel like a noir, or Superman should feel like that. It should have these very different tones because that's what the comics do. And then they combine them all and then it's fun. And that's, I think, been a big criticism of Marvel lately. And it's true, is that everything feels the same. Nothing has a particular style to it. Everything is just the Marvel thing, the Marvel look. And so, I mean, honestly talking about it, it's like, I want like a true heist film with these characters. Like they would fit perfectly for like a comedic thriller action. Like that's what you want. And we haven't had an amazing heist movie since the original 3 Oceans movies. So there's almost this just give me a good, as a filmmaker and a writer, give me a good heist movie, but use these characters. That just sounds fucking amazing.
I'd do it. I'd be in to write that. James Gunn, you better be listening to our podcast. But just a couple of things real quick. I don't know if we'll get a whole lot of Frank Grillo or Rick Flag Sr. on this because again, we're going to see him in Peacemaker. Yeah. We already know his motivation. He is basically just a copy of his son. He's just
maybe the least interesting in terms of his backstory. Probably, he's a military brat, right?
It appears he's military brat, very by the book. Maybe a little less so than his son, but I think we're gonna get. I'm not worried about him. We're gonna get way more of him down the line.
Peacemaker too, Peacemaker.
Yeah, and Superman, and so I guarantee we'll probably get a Creature Commando season 2.
I'm interested to see Frank Grillo with white hair.
Well, he
They're going to
won't.
keep that consistent.
He doesn't have white hair in the Superman set photos, so I think that is a weird non-continuity thing there. But
Maybe they'll explain it.
maybe they'll explain it. One thing I think is cool though. I'm still not. Maybe the Superman trailer kind of changed me on this, but this is a world again where superheroes just already exist, and so, but there are some limitations. So one thing as we learned was that, of course, Superman's not around yet, but we saw Batman in like the future state, and then we also
Well, we
were
did
getting
see
hints.
Superman.
No, we did, but we didn't see him like around yet. We saw him like
Oh.
in the flash forward, right? Like Batman.
Yeah.
The same thing with Wonder Woman. And but
Yeah.
like, other interesting thing is that the one of the main villains here in the beginning is the girl, she's from Themyscira,
Yeah.
so she's the Amazon.
The Amazonian.
so-
Yeah.
And so we know like that people know about the Amazonia, but they don't know about Wonder Woman yet. It appears to be,
But
which is
it's also
interesting.
very legendary too, right? Like, I mean, even in that scene where she's considering like letting her connect with her, Frank's like, it's an island no one's ever been to because they'll kill you as soon as you get there, that theoretically exists. So it's kind of like, it feels like it's kind of like Atlantis right now.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like this, like, yeah, okay, yeah, it exists. It's more of a conspiracy internet theory than it is like anyone's taking it seriously.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that what's interesting there is, like, even in the other movies, like no one talked, like let's say the Snyder movies, no one talked about what is it? It's Themyscira. I keep on saying
Themyscira,
Amazonia.
yeah.
Themyscira. So no one talked about that. Like
Right.
because no one knew she was around. It was like a hidden secret, all these kind of things.
Well, and even no one knew about. She just showed up and started saving shit, and they were like, okay.
Yeah, and technically we saw her in the, World War One and then 1984.
Right.
And so no one really has any kind of connection to her. So anyway, it's just already interesting. Like the world knows about a lot of different things yet. And so we're really just at the apex of some of the introductions, of some of these heroes, not so much on others.
Yeah.
And I know I was not super into it at first, but I think I'm on board with it now. I think like, okay, it is kind of nice where we can just kind of hit the ground running,
Yeah.
and we're already in the middle of the action.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna be okay with it. I just hope other people are like, when they're seeing Hawkeye or when they're seeing Batman, they're like, well, how did he become Batman? I'm always
I
afraid
don't
of
think they will.
the
Man, I
general
think
reception.
we're in such a like comic book literate society these days. Like everyone knows about comic books. Everyone knows about superheroes. Like, it feels like ubiquitous knowledge, at least, that like the idea of superheroes, the idea of comic books and all these things. I'm not worried about it. I think it's really smart because of that state of everybody's in. Like, we don't need, in 2008, we needed an Iron Man origin story because no one knew who the fuck this guy was. And he was about to be the star of the show, right? Like, we needed that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but the only person in like let's say all these DCU properties so far that anyone knows about is Superman. There's not a single person in Suicide Squad, maybe Harley Quinn,
yeah.
or Creature Commandos, or any other supporting characters like Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, or Hawk Girl.
Sure.
No one knows any of them except for Superman. So I don't know that the argument super stands up, but
I mean,
again,
but until we get a movie about that person, I don't think we need, like, just having these people interact with him. I love that. Getting into a little bit of the teaser, I love that how many other superheroes are in Metropolis or in the world right now. I think it just
I'm with you. I'm just saying I'm worried about the general.
I think because we've had 20 years of Marvel, and it's like Marvel not only has like, it's not only the fact that people have watched Marvel movies and know Marvel stories, but like Marvel, the MCU has created a resurgence of like comic interest along with it. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
And so like, there's just more people that know about comics than there was in 2008. There's more people that read comics, and even if not read them, watch YouTube videos about them or read like the Wikipedia plot summaries because they're just we're in a more we're in a more comic book literate society. Comic books, I don't feel like have ever been as cool to be into as they are right now. In a way, like they're not looked at as a nerdy thing. They're not looked at as a weird thing. It's like, of course, who wouldn't want to be into comic books? And so I think it's smart from that direction. And I think it makes the world more interesting. You know what I mean? And it really, really does feel like 90s, early thousands animated DCU. Like based off that teaser trailer, I mean, like all of those characters are, and I know we're getting a different like Hawk Girl versus Hawk Woman. We're not getting the one that that Green Lantern eventually gets with. We're getting the other Hawk Girl, whatever. And so like there's some differences there. But all in all, it's like, I mean, I think I'm happy that this universe isn't treating me like I don't know shit about superheroes. And like, even if like, I don't need to know beat for beat what's the guy's name with the man with the T. I really like his character.
Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific. Like, all you need to tell me is like, he's like, he's a rich guy that that owns, he's a billionaire, so he makes all his own shit, and he's just that. That's all I need. I don't need to know. I don't need to get the Tony Stark version of his backstory to think he's cool, to think he's like someone I want Superman to encounter or whatever.
Sure. Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think well, it's one of those things where it makes me nervous sometimes, where I don't know if this movie's gonna be successful. And like an example of this is Black Adam. Like, I don't think Black Adam is a great movie. We watched it together, actually. But my favorite thing about that movie was the chance.
It was better than expected, I will say. And because of the Justice Society.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The JSA, they were the best part of that movie.
Pierce Brosnan stole
it. Just bring all four of them back into it. But just bring him or Hawkman. I'm good. But those were great. And so, like, I like that approach where I mean, I didn't love it at the time, but like it works in the movie because I like those characters so much. Like, well, it's okay. But anyway, I think I'm just I'm holding on to an old ideal with it. Again, I'm okay with it, especially with this trailer dropping and everything else. But let's kind of dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think this on a there's a lot to talk about here. I mean, first of all, we can just get into the
general impression. I just want to hear. Did you?
Yeah, general impressions. We haven't talked about it, have we? Yeah, so I mean, when I first, watched it, obviously I had breakfast ready for it. Like, I made breakfast.
That's awesome.
To watch a trailer at 8:00 in the morning, and obviously there's moments where I got chills, and it's like one of those things too. Like, you watch it and then you watch it again and again. Like, I started getting teary eyed on the third time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's times like I have different reactions because I was like thinking about things more and thinking about what this meant, and then extrapolating my own experiences to the character, and then like you're getting emotional at different times, and then I'd watch it on the 15th time, I'd feel nothing, and then on this 20th time, I'd start getting emotional again. So I think at the end of the day, obviously I was in day one, but I'm excited for me to get emotional about Superman. Yeah. And I think James Gunn's going to do that because I have Superman in general has a special place in my heart because of Smallville with my dad, and then just what that character means to me. And like I get really sappy about superheroes, and Superman is one of those special ones too, because he's like, if they do it right, if they nail the character, he's a harder one to nail. Then how do you not feel good about someone who's inherently good in a not so good world? And I think that at the end of the day, my impression is I'm very excited. I got some complaints about it. We'll get into those, but I like seeing Krypto. I'm not a huge Krypto fan. I'm not a Krypto fan, but the way they did it was really cool. I like how he entered. Yeah. And I absolutely loved Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. It's especially perfect. It's perfect. Once you see Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, and I was ringing that alarm bell day one.
Yeah.
But when so when you live through that for 7 years, 8 years, however long it's been, then then you get the perfect version. You're like, it's like someone like actually finally injecting that EpiPen you've been asking for. Right.
You've been like, yes, exactly. Hyperventilating on the floor.
Having allergic reaction for a long time. Things like that. We'll get into more of it. But I was like, oh, this is perfect. That's perfect. I love the score. That's great. There's a lot of things. But my general impressions, I'm in, baby. Give it to me. Give it to me now. There's a reason why it's my birthday movie, Daniel.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I want it now too. I do wonder if they'll move the date because it is like 2 weeks before Fantastic Four, I think, right now. And I wonder if they're gonna not try to compete with those because that I could see that one of them wanting to not cannibalize or maybe Superman pushing back or something. I don't know. I hope not, just because I want to see it as soon as possible. I'd rather Fantastic Four get pushed back. You know what I mean?
We'll push it forward other than back. I think we might get it a week earlier. We won't get it a week. We won't get it a week later.
Cool. Yeah, I hope so. But all I'm gonna say is like, no, this teaser was perfect. I think we all were hopeful of the tone that this movie was gonna have because he talked about it a lot. It seemed like he got it. It seemed like he knew what Superman should be. And to me, the tone of this teaser was that. It was just like hopeful. It was like it was hopeful, and yet I love that we started with like Superman down and out. You know what I mean? Like bleeding in the ice. Like it's like this like you see Superman at his lowest, and who knows what context that will be. So I saw some people speculating that he might just be like training at like the Fortress of Solitude, and maybe not even be like fighting anyone right then. It may not even be as an emotional moment in the movie as it appeared to be in the teaser. Maybe I have a feeling they're wrong, but
no, Reddit commenter, you're wrong.
But yeah, man, the tone of this was so fun. It was such a colorful already. I mean, like to start at the white and then just Superman's, vibrant costume in that, just popping with all the blues and reds. I was always a fan of the Rachel Brosnahan, Lois Lane. She looks great. They look like they've got good chemistry.
Talk about new celebrity crush. Oh my goodness.
Dude, you got to watch The Marvelous Miss Maisel on Amazon. That won like so many Emmys, and
everyone talks about it all the time, and I need to watch it.
She's so good, man.
She's that show.
That show feels like a Sorkin. The dialogue in that show feels like Sorkin. It's that quick, quippy, people talking over each other, but it works kind of stuff.
Yeah. To quote Dr. Hugo Strange, one of Batman's villains, she is a perfect specimen. So she looked great. And I even saw, and he wasn't in the trailer, but is it Jimmy Olsen, the black guy with the cigar? Perry White.
Perry, I saw
Jimmy Olsen was in the trailer. He was in
the trailer, but Perry White, who is Bunk from The Wire, who's like one of and like I just saw a photo, like it was like a set photo he posted with like a cigar in his mouth. And
I did see
Planet logo, and I was
he's great. He's a good actor.
He is fantastic.
He's good. I don't know if you get better than Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, but we'll see. I mean,
fair. No, that was a great casting too. You're right.
It was great.
All in all, I mean, like, I've heard some complaints about the color or like the cinematography. I don't really see those right now. I mean, to me, it's like a movie will have a look, and I think once you start watching it, it's going to have a look. I will say it looks all very like realistic. Like it all feels like very like the lighting and color feels really real world. It doesn't feel like it has a look. It kind of feels like it has like it's very like it looks like the world we see. You know what I mean? Like the colors and the lighting. To me, it felt very like.
This is like the blue gold dress thing, in my opinion. This is like one of the biggest. It's funny because I didn't know there were so many color graders or cinematographers on the internet until yesterday.
Oh, right. Well, and here's the thing. It does feel. I mean, the internet is an echo chamber, and like all it is like one person pointed out in the beginning, and people that don't want to like this movie, that's their thing. That's like their go-to thing to latch onto. Oh, well,
yeah.
It's like you didn't think of that.
That's what I like to think. I like to think that, it
is true.
But this is like how the internet works too. It's like it's kind of like when Iron Man came out, I was like, you dummies didn't know who Iron Man was. I've known my whole life who Iron Man was. Same thing with this. I'm like, you guys don't know cinematography. I know what actually a good frame is. That's not necessarily the case. I know there's people out there, obviously, other than us, that know filmmaking, but I will have to agree. I think the thing that is making me nervous, and I say make me nervous in terms of I just wish it was better. I'm not nervous about it. Guardians 1 and 2, there are things about it that's like I think really nicely composed. And then 3, I felt like he kind of did some experimenting, especially after coming out Suicide Squad. And there's just he doesn't. There's moments where I'm like, oh, like I get what you're doing, like the framing and the blocking's there, but it's just your lens choice, or it's
Mm,
like I just and he, it's a style he has, and like that's his style, and I don't think it's like the wrong style for him. I think it's what he enjoys and what he likes, and it feels kind of comic booky in a way, which I think is maybe apt for this. But I just kind of wish we would get something like the quality and the level like Endgame or Infinity War. You know what I'm saying? Where there's actual like I don't know. I think
yeah,
it's just preference, right?
yeah,
Like there's a
yeah,
shot of like this is nitpicky shit, but when you're with Nicholas Holt and it's like he's crying and it's like he's upset, he's got damage on
yeah.
his face. It's like Luther. It's like it looks like they have like a really wide lens and they're really close on his face, and so it's
Hmm.
distorting the look of the shape of his face, right? And like I just don't like those kind of shots. Like as a
Mm,
filmmaker, I just don't like that kind of stuff. And
mm,
so I think it just makes your actor look unattractive. And maybe that's the
mm.
point. Maybe they want to make you. But like again, for me, it's like one thing you gotta give Zack Snyder credit for. That man can compose a shot. That man, he never should have been a director. He should always been a cinematographer.
Sure.
And I think that being said, I don't want his color scheme for a Superman
Right.
movie. I want like a actually if I'd pick like a regular like probably Marvel at its best color,
Yeah.
cinematography of Zack Snyder, the story of James Gunn, and the directing of James Gunn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I wish we would get those levels. That being said, like to me also the movie, everyone's like, oh, there's so much color. I'm like, but like like the blacks are green, the blacks are blue, the blacks aren't black in that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like if you
I mean,
watch the
I
trailer,
mean, you might be right. I didn't notice that, or
I
didn't make
am
me.
right.
It didn't
It's
throw me
literally
off in a way
it's
that like
teal and orange is the color. It's like that is the colors, teal and orange. And I'm like, this is
you could also. I mean, here's the thing: we're not watching these on scientifically color accurate monitors either. So even the fact that
I
yes,
mean,
you could
my phone, VR headset, my TV, this Apple screen,
sure.
and then that screen. That's five different screens. It's like, come on, you know?
That's fine. I mean, honestly, that none of that I noticed. I mean, I noticed that it had a color correction. It didn't bother me. It didn't look bad. I mean, there's lots of movies that make their blacks look blue or green, and it works. To me, here's the thing: like, there's these questions about cinematography and lighting and color. The whole point of that shit is to serve the story. That's the reason those exist in a Hollywood classical film. You don't make a lens choice based on what you think looks good. You make a lens choice based on what serves the story. And so to me, there's no way to critique the cinematography unless you watch the story with it. I just don't think you can separate the two. They are married together. The
I
cinematography,
don't
if the
100
cinematography
no.
doesn't serve the story and yet it's a gorgeous film, it doesn't matter to me.
I don't
You
think
know
that
what I mean?
I don't think you have to be as black and white about it.
To me, it's
I
that
think
way. To me, it's just like I did they make a wrong lens choice on this character? I have no idea because I need to watch the scene first because I need to know
no,
what I'm feeling at that
I
moment and
want
does that match up and does that serve it? If it does, then yeah, it was the right choice. I mean,
I want
to me,
to
it's just
I want a blanket statement and get a little ahead of the conversation real quick and say like at the end of the day, the story and the characters and those things are going to absolutely trump Guy Gardner's dumbass looking haircut,
I love it.
his stupid suit, which is not comic accurate.
He
Superman's
looks he
not
looks pretty dumb in all the comic pictures I've seen of that character.
he
That's
don't look that dumb.
so
And Superman's kind of not great suit. I mean, like they could have made it a little
hmm,
better. That I'm saying like I can overlook all these things because at the end of the day, I want to see a kid raise a flag with the Superman symbol and say
right,
Superman.
right,
That's what I care about.
right.
I can get over all this stuff. Again, Guardians 3. There are some things there I'm like, oh man, I really wish you didn't go to your flashbacks at that James Gunn because
Sure.
what a shitty way to do it in a movie.
Yeah.
It just feels
Yeah.
not good.
I
It feels
agreed.
not good.
Clumsy. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels clumsy. It feels like
Yeah.
you're not thinking super far ahead or really
Yeah.
trying to be like a Brad Bird or
Right.
I'm saying like someone who's like storyboarding everything and like has a
Yeah.
true vision. So I say all that I think he's going to nail the story. I already care about these characters based on the trailer.
Right.
I do think I at the same time as preference. I think for my
Sure.
preference, I want all of those. I want everything to be a 9 or 10 out of 10. I know it can be done, and I just wish that yeah, I just wish it was there. It's not all there yet for me. I think that I mean, you look at Superman. It's you look at Zack Snyder's Superman, the way he looks, and then you look at the other one, obviously wildly different. Now I'll say, but I do think like even Corn Sweat Superman has like a narrative purpose to his suit. It feels
Yeah.
more handmade. It feels more like it fits kind of a world where it fits this world a little bit better. You
Yeah.
couldn't put Cavill's suit in this trailer. You
No.
couldn't do it and make it
No.
feel good.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But there's something like it does scream quality. Cavill's suit does. You know what I'm saying? Like there's these trade-offs. I'm not saying I want Cavill's suit. I'm saying there's like a version where there's a version there's a version where you can kind of facelift all these things happening in the trailer. And I don't know. I think that we could done some of this stuff better, some of the shots better.
I mean, maybe, but like again, it's like this isn't going to be Superman's final suit. This is probably the suit his mom made him, right? Like that
Maybe,
from
yeah.
the classic line. Like I think there's perfectly valid reasons for it not to be like
My
even if it
complaint's
was
not the suit.
even
Don't
if it
latch
was
onto the suit. My
Okay,
complaint's
okay.
not the suit at all. I like the suit. I'm fine with the suit. I'm going to buy a hot toy, a $500 hot toy of the suit. I don't care
Sure.
about the suit. I care about this. I'm worried about the editing. I'm worried about the cinematography. I'm worried about how these scenes get together. I'm not worried about the score so much because they just copped out into John Williams score because that is the safe
Sure.
and it's the correct route.
Right.
So
Sure. Yeah.
so I mean, but I'm worried about. I mean, like I just don't. I can't. It blows my mind. People are saying how colorful the movie is, and I'm like, it's blue and orange. It's blue and
But
orange.
I think it's just it's a contrast to what we got from Snyder, black and white almost. Like even the non-black and white version is
Maybe
almost black and
it-
white sometimes.
Maybe in Justice League, but I mean, like
And even
I mean,
Man of Steel, that was like a
Man of Steel,
desaturated ass movie.
It's desaturated, but there is still a lot of color. I mean, I just don't see. I'm trying to think what's the perfect colorful superhero movie that I could think of. It's like the color. This actually has color.
Guardians 1 and 2 are pretty damn good. They're pretty colorful, but they're in space and they're in this like whimsical places, so it makes a lot of sense. But the color's really good in those movies.
Maybe one and two then. So like you look at those, like things are not green or orange and teal. Like the blacks are. I mean, like the blacks are black. I'm a black is black kind of cinematographer.
I mean, we only saw one scene that was the orange and teal, though, right? Just inside the Daily Planet, right? I mean, like, I don't.
No,
I
I
think-
mean, if you even look at the crowd reactions on the teaser, like that looks like they just shot it outside. They didn't have like no type of diffusion on the actors. It looks like they're just doing natural, like the actual sun is giving them the light.
On
And
what
it's like
part?
when there's like the crowd reaction. This isn't the teaser of the teaser we got. This is like on
Oh.
the Wednesday stuff when it wasn't even the final trailer we got yesterday.
Yeah,
Like
I know what you're
it
about.
looks like that looks like iPhone level stuff.
Hmm.
And you're like, I could have done that with my iPhone.
I didn't see. I mean, to me, that didn't read that way to me at all. None of this is feeling amateur to me. None of this is feeling like,
Well,
this needs an uplift idea at a basic idea level. Like, I mean,
It-
I'm not
it-
saying that
it feels
nothing's
better
above.
when you have $200 million visual effects around everything. You're like,
Well, I
that
mean,
makes-
sure, but like, I mean, like, I'm just
know.
saying, like, as someone that appreciates good cinematography and lighting, I'm not reading anything out of place yet. Maybe you're right. Maybe when we watch the movie, it's gonna have weird shit. Maybe so. I watched the teaser, and none of that registered for me at all. And
Hey,
I
again,
watched it multiple
I think-
times. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's like, yeah, okay, we'll see. I mean, like, could the movie use too much orange and blue? Maybe, but we'll never know till we see it. There's no way to know from this teaser.
I'm assuming that they're using the same color grade in the teaser they're going to use. Maybe they won't in the
Right,
in
but
the,
every
in the
scene.
final.
I mean, there was a every scene has a different. Oftentimes in movies, different locations, different scenes will have a particularly different grade to just give them distinction.
I agree with that statement. I just think that it's consistent throughout the entire trailer in every scene. But we'll have to look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, I look. This is me just like wanting it to succeed and wanting it to be the best possible
know.
version that I think it can be. I think that at the end of the day, story comes first. The story will make me cry. I guarantee I'm gonna cry in this movie. I know it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. I cried in the trailer. I'm gonna cry in the movie.
Yep.
And
I
I
got
think
I
like
got a little teary. I got a little teary.
I'm not going to care so much about the blocking and those kind of things unless they're just absolutely jarring, which I don't think they will be. But I just, I just kind of wonder sometimes why don't people, I don't know, go like the extra mile? Why don't people try to strive to be?
Yeah, I hear you. I agree in a lot of movies. There's so many things that I completely agree with. I don't read that here. We're just gonna have to see till we watch it to know. I guess on the others what the ultimate feeling on it is. But I know the feeling you're feeling. I've felt it almost every time I've watched anything Star Wars except Andor for the past like 5 years. That is the exact feeling I have of like, why did we go with the most basic ass like? Why did we go with the idea that was easiest? It feels like, or the idea that was like,
What's
the
funny
most
is that
uninteresting. But
Marvel gets in trouble for having the Marvel look, right? And this is not like a Marvel look. This looks the most, the most,
no, he does look
the
different.
most, the most like it is Guardians 3, not Guardians 1 and 2, but Guardians 3. And you know what I'm saying? And but I think it kind of looks more amateurish than some of the Marvel stuff. And I think that even though Marvel stuff it gets in trouble for being bland, it's like, well, it's also pretty good in a lot of ways.
Sure.
There's standouts, Winter Soldier. Really, I mean, Infinity War and Endgame, like there's just some great, like there's really some care going on here, I think.
Sure.
Particularly in Civil War and Iron Man 1. And I don't know. I'm not, I don't want to spend too much time on that. I think we should probably wrap this up overall.
Yeah.
But overall, I love the trailer, right? I
Yeah.
love, like, I can't wait to see more Green Lantern. Like, I think his suit, I complained about it. I think it's the Ted Cord. We're working for someone's suit. They're all wearing a similar outfit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping at the end of it, he's like, fuck this, we're wearing our actual Green Lantern suit and fly off and do some Green Lantern shit. I love seeing Superman fight a giant kaiju. I love seeing the Fortress of Solitude. We're getting back to the crystals. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but they actually released what the actual fortress looks like. And it looks not like it don't look like the classic one from the old movie, but it's got like a unique design. But it's the crystals. I'm like, I'm in. Give it to me. I like the score. I like it's rendition, like I said earlier, rendition of John Williams stuff. I mean, like the way it hits, certain things. Whenever he saves the kid and protects the kid's neck from the thing, that's perfect. That's good cinematography. But and also I am absolutely digging the relationship between Lois and Clark.
It feels like it's such an important part of this movie already. Like that's going to be such a core part. Yeah, yeah. I think, obviously Lois and Clark. And listen, what was the actress that played her in the Snyderverse? I mean,
Amy Adams,
award-winning actress. Yeah, she was really good, but it definitely felt like their story was always B plot, or like not even B plot, like C or D plot. Like it was never the focus. It felt like
B plot, and there was no like, what feels good, like when you have badass John Williams inspired music, and like against an actual like those people fucking like kissing each other. Yeah, like those guys, like they had chemistry.
Sure,
when they're making out, you're like, oh shit,
yeah,
that's what you need in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. You don't. When did we ever see that in any of the Snyder movies?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Not a single one of them.
So yeah, man. I mean, like even just the whole like core, like the spine of that trailer, which is him like whistling for Krypto, and then he's like, "Take me home, boy." Like that just is like
it's great.
Take me home, James Gunn.
That's what it is.
Take me home to this movie. Like
maybe I don't think about this, but to me it was like a meta commentary on like we're coming back to what DC's about.
Yes, and I love and like listen, I have no affinity or even lack of affinity for Krypto. I was completely neutral on Krypto. Like I didn't even know if he was canon. You know what I mean? Like to me he's like a Super Friends era thing, like but like he's wonderful. He's not gonna be like a main character, but he's fun, he's whimsical, and he's a dog. He in some ways he mirrors Superman's. Like he's always gonna look. Dogs are never gonna be depressed. Dogs are always gonna find a way to have fun or be happy or keep going.
Well, apparently he's gonna be a very naughty boy in the movie. So apparently he's going to be, and that's how you have the comics. In the comics, he's kind of like
getting into shit,
causing trouble sometimes. Yeah. So
well, I could see a dog with superhuman powers doing that. Yeah.
Easily. Yeah, easily. No, but I mean, like again, Superman fighting a kaiju. Lex Luthor's perfect.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
and
and
it feels
even
like
the shot of Mr. Terrific, like,
he looks great. I like him. You know, I think. I mean,
no,
I want to see
I
that.
like his character in general. I think he's a cool ass character.
Yeah.
And
We got
the,
Ultraman. You know, we got
yes,
the it's like, you know,
Metamorpho. Was that-
Metamorpho
yeah, yeah.
from the Barry actor. You know, so
What he was holding that robot at one point. Do you think
I
that's
think his name is Zexel or Zokel or something. But he's he's the robot that like, you know, it's like his butler for the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought there was like Metamorpho is made by Lex, right? Metamorpho is like created by Lex Luthor to like rival Superman, I think.
I don't think so. Metamorpho. I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
one of
think
them is.
so.
What is I thought one of these characters was one of the ones that's classically created by Lex. At least was in like the 90 or like the super the
My suspicion is that Lex clones Superman and makes Ultraman, and so it's like Ultraman technically is like a Superman from a different Earth, but
Okay.
I think in this he'll kind of combine them and make him Ultraman. Takes the mask off, it'll be a deformed corn sweat, and it'll be like a clone. And so I think that'll be like the physical threat, and Lex being like the
yeah,
mental threat. You know,
interesting. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I can't wait. I
can't either. Again, I watched the trailer.
It made me want more, and it's you know it's like it did what it was supposed to do. It made me and I do feel like at least my window into the internet, my little echo chamber is like 90% hyped about this. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think a lot of people there's a lot of Snyder Bros, people who are confused about where Henry Cavill is, the people complaining about, you know, the costume, and you know, you're gonna get people like always complaining about stuff
Of course.
like you heard me do this episode. But at the end of the day, it needs to deliver on who Superman is, the character, who Clark Kent is, and how it makes you feel. And I think with all my complaints, James Gunn will deliver. Again, I had issues with Guardians 3,
I did too.
but at the end of the day, I think I mean that the end of that movie when they're
I did issues with
dancing,
Guardians 2.
it makes me cry. All three of them make me cry. Every single one of those movies make me cry, and they got issues.
Yeah.
You know, so I, mean,
I still think maybe that Suicide Squad is his best movie, just front to back. Like just
think so.
Well, Guardians 1 or Suicide Squad, I think are his best. Just he nailed it. He nailed exactly what it should have been.
My only issue with Suicide Squad is literally that cutaway in the final moments when they're doing like the emotional moment, and they cut to Ratcatcher 2, and like that little
the
insert.
flashback moment, another awkward flashback. You know,
Stop doing flashbacks, James Gunn.
Yeah.
You can't do them correctly.
Yeah,
So that's my only complaint, and it's a small one. I've been wanting to watch it desperately the last week because of Creature Commandos, because of Superman.
Yeah, and it's
all
just
these
been a while.
things. It is. Anyway, I'm excited for it. I can't wait for the movie to come out. I almost made a conscious decision last night to like not watch any more trailers until the movie comes out. There'll be a Super Bowl trailer, like a 1-minute Super Bowl trailer, and there'll probably be one more final trailer before.
Well, and eventually, I mean, this was a teaser in the fact that we really didn't get any indications what the plot's going to be. We don't know that.
No, but I mean,
usually you do with.
I know what it is.
You get. Well, yeah, but that's just because nothing can be. Everything's leaked these days.
Well, not leaked. But I mean, you know, Superman is
based on casting.
Yeah, there's heroes. It's kind of the boys where it looks like they're probably going to be capitalized, like they're for monetary gain. There's like distrust among superheroes, even particularly Superman at some point, and he's going to rise above the cream of the crop. Lex Luthor probably is super fucking jealous of Superman,
right? And
doesn't like that, you know, Prometheus fire sort of thing. And so,
well, I wonder if Lex is going to be like the one in charge or the like architect of these other like superhuman squads or whatever. Like he's like, I don't know. I wonder. Like that's even just the thing. I'm interested. You know, we're gonna get that trailer where it's gonna show us a little bit of the beginning, a little bit of the middle, a little bit of the end, just to give us a better idea of like what the flow is gonna be. Like, is Lex Luthor in the very beginning of the movie? Does he not show up till the end? You know, like just that kind of stuff that will give us a better indication of just what this movie's gonna be like.
Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna not watch these trailers.
I know, exactly. I know that.
I've done it. I have done it. I have not watched trailers before movies.
Sure.
Well, a little tidbit there on the Luthor Court, which is not Lex Court, which is interesting. On the Luthor Court bridge, like on the building, there's a person running across the Luthor Court bridge That is the engineer who's a female engineer of the Authority. And
Okay.
so I wonder
Interesting.
what her role is and if Lex is working with her or not. And
Mm.
again, I think the Authority will be the boys essentially,
Yeah.
and we'll
Yeah.
need the Justice League to kind of replace them. So
Eventually. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see more. I love what I've
Yes.
seen so far overall. Even when it sounded like I didn't. Daniel, how can listeners write into us?
Listeners, you can write into bit.ly/241mail and let us know what you think of Creature Commandos and the Superman teaser. Lots of fun stuff to talk about this week. It is interesting right now. DC is really feeling like it's starting to hit its stride, and like I just don't even know what the fuck Marvel is right now. I don't know what they're doing. We'll see if Captain America's any good. Like, just who the hell knows on Marvel? But DC is like I'm salivating for, and that's a weird place to be. How are you feeling about the comic book movie landscape? Let us know at bit.ly/241mail.
I like Deadpool Wolverine. I thought Agatha all along was pretty good.
They were good, but it's
Captain
not
America has me nervous just
lighting
because
my
I'm
fire
afraid.
under my ass for more. Like I'm not counting down the days till Captain America. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not dying for it though either. I'd rather have Superman. I'd rather now there are some Fantastic Four I'm very excited for. I think that will be fantastic, partly because
Which makes the most money next year? Fantastic Four or Superman?
Two of the
Or
like
Thunderbolts.
classic '60s
Or
comic
Thunderbolts.
books, like it won't be Thunderbolts.
I think Thunderbolts could make more money than
60s, like,
Superman. I bet it could.
I think
bet
if
it will.
Superman is like an 85 up on Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic, like I think it makes a shit ton of money.
I'm guessing
Superman.
between if it makes over 700 million, it's a win for them. I don't know. I'm nervous.
It just the question is, can it be good enough that it kind of becomes a moment to go watch Superman? Like becomes a moment online, becomes a moment.
Yeah.
Like there is a version of this again where like also Superman is just very different from everything else that's going on in terms of like message. This is going to be a movie about hope, about doing the right thing even when you don't have to, even when no one's going to make you, even when it would benefit you not to, still choosing to be honorable, still choosing to make the right choice. Like there's a version of it where it hits just right that it becomes more than a movie. You know what I mean? That it becomes a touch point. It becomes like, wow, we needed this. We needed a positive message. We needed something to keep us going, and everyone's clinging on to it now. That may be putting too much expectations on the film, but I just think to me there is a chance that it can thread that needle and become that.
I mean, hey, Spider-Man's my boy, always will be, but DC is king in my eyes, always has been.
I know we're about to wrap up, but can we just review that there's a disease spreading online right now that a bunch of people have decided that Spider-Man No Way Home wasn't good. And it was just a nostalgia trap. And like the only people that love it are just nostalgic for this movie, but it was actually a shitty movie. And I'm like, it's not a big, like, I see their opinions and mostly downvoted, but like, there's just these people and like, they'll congregate. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
You gotta get off Reddit.
Are you? It's not just on Reddit.
I agree. I've seen it also in my places as well.
And part of me is like, do I need to rewatch it again and like try to see it without the nostalgia glasses on? Because like, to me, I thought the performances were incredible. I thought like the set pieces were incredible. Like I really enjoyed the plot.
Listen up, Redditor commenter. If you don't like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin fighting Tom Holland in the hallways before Aunt May gets killed, you're a fucking idiot.
Here's the thing. Morgan's on sabbatical, honey, is maybe the best one-liner a villain has had since Thanos.
So
and maybe it's just and his acting there, it's just like I just got chills thinking about that.
What's wrong with dessert? Everyone likes dessert.
Yeah, I know. It's like I and again, you know what? Maybe it's true. Maybe my nostalgia glasses are clouding it, but like I'll never take them off, man. Yeah, exactly. Like it's like to me that was one of the most fun. I watched that with my wife, who is not nearly as much of a like comic book Spider-Man fan. No, she grew up on Toby too, but like isn't what we are, and she got emotional watching that and was like, can we watch that again soon? Like that was her response to that film.
Hey, you know what's funny about that movie? I love that fucking movie. You know, I came out of the movie complained about on our podcast. I was like, man, why did they not do like some better cinematography? That was one of my complaints.
That's funny.
I was like, why is the three of them not framed better when they're together?
Yeah.
So anyway, I was
That's
complaining
funny.
even then, podcasting for one viewers, listeners. So no, I mean, hey, yeah, they're stupid, dude. I mean, like, look, I just watched Far From Home again, like last weekend.
Far From
I've
Home
seen
or
them.
No Way Home?
Far From Home. I've seen all three of these movies a gross amount of times. I watched all this stuff too much, honestly, probably. And if you don't like it, that's fine. It's your cup of tea. But I think all the performances is really good, and it's a fun movie. If you don't like fun, then get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, is it? I get it. I get the complaint in that like it's a movie that's really stuffed with villains, but that movie it only works because there's literally not five, there's seven other Spider-Man films before that movie.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched all those, then yeah, you probably won't care as much. But
Anyway.
it is what it is.
Same way
Anyway,
you won't like the new Top Gun if you didn't watch the old one. Same thing.
I hope not. That's a good movie, even with the other one.
Yeah.
Anyway, my name is Donovan Thompson,
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
and we have spoken.